Okay, we are live. Everybody, hello. Welcome to the Musicmakers Livestream. Let me zoom in a little there on Adam and I. All right, cool. So, everybody, welcome to the live stream. I'm sorry I didn't quite set it up early. I think in future what we need to do is set it up early and then like people can join it earlier. But I think if we don't go live until then people can't sort of join and wait, you know?
Totally.
So we'll have to change that for next time. Everybody, welcome to the call. Welcome to episode 5. Is it, Adam? Episode 5 of the Musicmakers? Number 5 already. Wow.
I think so. Yeah, I've been absent the last couple ones. I feel bad.
Well,
the community.
Life gets in the way, brother. You know how it works. Especially when you got a baby. It's like, you know, stuff happens, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And factor in being a musician for a living, and you've just got a whole recipe for chaos.
No life of your own.
No, I mean, thankfully, my life is just mostly music and my family anyway. So, like,
that's pretty good.
You know, yeah, it's a happy way to live, man. I can't complain.
Yeah, mate, I agree. Yeah, you got the most important things covered there: family and music. Everybody, let us know where you're from in the chat. Please let us know that you can hear us. Play some guitar. Quick sound check. I hope you can hear that. What was that, Adam?
That chord progression. What's that from?
I think it's all along the Watchtower, isn't it? That's how I always.
That's it.
I think. Yeah, pretty sure it's all along the Watchtower.
Good old Dylan and Hendrix. I'll do a little. Just let us know in the chat if you can hear both of our guitars, please, everybody.
Yeah. Adam, let's see what. Adam, super quick. This might not work, so let's not make a big thing of it. But super quick, let's just try and do a little jam in A minor. Okay, so I'll just play those chords, A minor, G, F. Just do a bit of lead, and then we can listen back to it later and just see. Maybe the latency kills it, and it'll be out of time. In which case, I'm going to blame you.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. Yeah. A minor.
A minor. Okay, so what I hear, Adam, is your audio getting a bit squished. It sounded like there was like some type of noise suppression kicking in there or something like that, but it might have just been some weird StreamYard thing.
It could have.
Yeah, but we can check it later, and if it works, it works. Frank, the chord progression was A minor, G to F. Yeah, which you can play in, you know, many different ways. I was just playing it the whole thing as bar chords. Yeah, so like, you know, I was playing it like this. But it works totally just as well if you play it down here.
Mike, watch your camera angle. When you're zoomed in, we can't see your hand.
Ah!
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Let me... There we go.
There you go.
Cool thing is you don't need to play the whole chord. You know, you can just play parts of it. I'm just playing one note there. What works quite well there, I think, is if you go onto the, like if you touch the G on the way back as well, it turns into this circular thing, you know, where it's like, it's one of the cool things about it is you just bouncing between one chord that's here, one chord that's there, and touching on the note that's in the middle. And then if you touch it on the way back, it just turns into this really circular, vibey kind of groove. I'm sure anybody who's ever seen All Along the Watchtower played live by like any band ever, it just always sounds great. It always creates a mood, you know, and I think that's why. Okay, right, listen, we had a big, we digressed a bit there. Let's get back on track. Okay, we've got Bruce here. We have, I'm hearing some echo. Adam, is that on your end?
I turned off echo cancellation.
Maybe turn it on, mate.
Sure.
So I'm hearing a bit of an echo. Okay, who've we got here? Right, we've got Bruce. Of course we've got Bruce. Come on, Bruce, my man. Bruce is here from Brooklyn. John's here from New Jersey. Frank's here from Kansas. Frank, good to see you again, mate. Telecon's here from North Wales. Yeah, nearby. That's good to hear. I'm in North Wales all the time. Carthage, Missouri, I think we pronounced that. Born in the UK. Everybody, welcome along to the call. We've got a packed show for you today. Charles, Chachui, I'm glad that the audio is sounding good, my man. And yeah, great stuff. Okay, everybody, welcome along to the live stream. We have got a really packed live stream for you today. There's loads of stuff that we want to get through. Thank you for bearing with us during the sound check. We're still, trying to figure out this whole YouTube live stream thing. I'm your host, Mike Kennedy. I am the founder of National Guitar Academy, but I'm not the only host. No, there's a co-host to this show. Adam, who are you?
I'm some guy on the internet. Also kind of from Canada. Hi everybody, my name is Adam Tobias. I'm a guitarist, composer, and professional noisemaker from Toronto, Canada. And I've been working with the National Guitar Academy just over 5 years now. I make content, we make lessons, we do social media, we do a whole bunch of different stuff, including these live streams here and all of the wonderful free lesson content that you can find on our website. And if you'd like to hear some of my music, you can go over to spotify.com, search Adam Tobias. My latest single, I Was Never Here, is out now. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Mike, back to you.
And it's very cool. Go and check out Adam's stuff on Spotify. By the way, Adam, when the mag stuff goes on Spotify in a few weeks, you got to pimp it, yeah?
You got
to return the favor. We're pimping your stuff. You got to start pimping my stuff.
Absolutely. I want to hear it. No. Did you send me the link for it?
I don't know. We just got the private SoundCloud link for it the other day. It's not public yet, but
send me that.
Yeah, it's going to be public soon. The mags are coming in a big way. Get ready.
Send me that link. I want special treatment.
Everybody, I'm going to give you a sneak peek at what we're going to be covering today. All right, we're going to be talking about Fender Telecasters. We're going to be talking about pedals, some guitar effects that are going to help you, some guitar accessories. We're going to be talking about an artist who's going to be coming on the show in a couple of weeks. Going to give you a bit of a tease of him. We're going to be speaking about an extremely cool song in our Song of the Week section. We're going to be talking, I'm going to share some chord tips, lead tips, and theory tips. And we're also going to share a cool film with you. So we've got lots to get through. So let's dive in. Now, just before we do, if anybody's got any questions or anything, please post them in the chat straight away. You don't need to, wait until the right time. Just post if there's any particular guitar or musical things that you'd like us to discuss. Please put it in the chat and we will respond as we go through rather than do like a big Q&A at the end. I think we'll just respond to questions as we go through. So if there's anything you want to know about guitars, music, anything at all you want us to discuss or comment on, anything you're struggling with, anything you've always wondered about, please put it in the chat and we will respond to that as we go along. Quick question there from Philly Folkfest. Adam, is your single only on Spotify?
No, my singles should be available on all streaming services except Apple Music because I do not mix and master in 5.1. And Apple's silly for wanting the Dolby Atmos thing. So unfortunately, I'm not on Apple Music, but I am on Tidal and any other like Deezer, any other streaming platforms. And yeah, my single I Was Never Here is on there. My album Acrylic Skyline is on there, and also 2 other singles, Witch Doctor and King Gravitas. So you should be able to find those on every other streaming service. If not, then I need to have a talk with my distributor. So yeah.
I think, mate, they've got it. DistroKid's got you. They've got you back.
DistroKid's the best. They're so good to me.
Everybody, we're going to begin today with a super, super quick. We've got 3 beginner tips that I'm going to share with you. We're going right back to basics here in this section. Number 1, if you are a beginner guitarist, I am just going to spotlight myself there to show you this on the screen. If you're a beginner guitarist, when you play chords, make sure that you play the root notes first on your chords. If you play a chord progression, let's use all along the Watchtower. A minor, yeah, to G, to F. That progression won't sound right unless you play the root notes first. If you play the other notes in the chord, it'll sound unsatisfying and unmusical. If you play the root notes first, then the chord progression sounds sharply defined and very musical. Most beginner guitarists don't know this. It's one of the reasons they don't sound quite so good when they play. The root note is always the note that's closest to the E string that we play. So on an A minor chord, the first note that we play is actually the A string open. So if we strum from here down, that's the correct way to voice an A minor chord. If you play the note above, it sounds nasty. If you skip the A, if you miss it out, it doesn't sound right. If we play the chord properly by beginning with its root note, it's super clear. If we play a G chord, guess what note I want to hear first? G. The G note is there. It's always the top, whatever note is closest to the E string. If we play an F chord, then I want to hear this note first here, the F. If I'm playing a D chord, the first note I want to hear is here. It's the D string open. That will make the D sound like a D chord. A great way to think about that is if you imagine you're saying somebody's name, like my name's Mike. If you don't start my name by saying M at the start, yeah, it won't sound like Mike. It's the same with chords. If you're voicing an A chord, we have to hear the A note delivered first. If we don't, your chords will never sound clean and sharp. Loads of beginners don't know this. Okay, I also wanted to say, sorry, I'm just catching up here on the chat. Yeah, okay, cool. We've got some questions coming in. Thank you, everybody. We'll respond to those very, very shortly. Okay, my next tip, and I'm going to bring Adam in on this one, is a beginner lead guitar tip. And that is very, very similar to what we were just speaking about. So when you play chords, we want to play those root notes first.
Just like get that neck up there, Mike.
yeah, we've got to adjust to this new layout. Okay, but if we're playing lead, then the equivalent would be the root note of the scale that we play. Now, this is super important. If you're playing an A minor scale, let me go like this. I look like Rick Beato on his like vertical videos, you know. He plays like this, you know. So if you're playing like an A minor scale, then guess what the most important note is in that scale? It's an A note. Yeah, we have to hear that A note, okay? So if we're playing in A minor, then we've got an A note here. We also have one here. We also have one here. Now, this is old news if you're an advanced or an intermediate guitarist, but for beginners, the idea of there being a hero note in a scale really matters. And the reason for that is you want to finish your phrases on that root note, otherwise they'll never sound finished. So if I play an A minor chord, and then I play the A minor scale that sits over that, for example, if I don't finish on the root note, things feel unresolved. But if I do finish on the root note, that phrase was finished off. It feels satisfying. There's a sense of resolution. Okay? So if you're a beginner to lead guitar, finish your phrases on your root notes, and it sounds finished, you know. You sound like a sort of a guitarist, you know. If you're not landing on root notes and targeting root notes, then it just sounds kind of directionless and unsatisfying. Adam, how long were you playing lead guitar for before you knew about root notes? Or did you figure this out straight away? Because you were way more like methodical about it than me.
Yeah, I always say it to people that like I kind of had an unfair advantage at the beginning because most of my friends were guitar players or bassists or drummers, and they had all had miles ahead experience from me. So
they could help guide you.
Yeah, so like the one thing that I always got told was finish your sentences. You know, it was always a joke. Finish your sentences, finish your dinner, right? And so you know it always got positioned to me as like, imagine you're having a conversation around a dinner table, right? So you have a meal, and you don't want to be disrespectful of the meal while you're talking, but at the same time, finish your sentences, finish your meal, right? So it was always kind of a weird illusion that started to like grow and fester in my brain over the years. Like, what does it mean? But yeah, essentially, like
it's totally it. Yeah, you need to finish it off.
Yeah, you got to finish it off, both the meal and the sentence. So the sentence is you speaking with the lead guitar. The meal is the chord progression, and you kind of want to honor that. You don't want to disrespect it and push it to one side while you're talking to somebody. You want to have like a dinner conversation, and so it's important to finish those sentences. I will take this one step further because I know we got some intermediates that we're planning on showing up today as well. I started promoting this over on TikTok, and I actually got a couple DMs about it, which was super nice. So, and also, if you landed here from TikTok, please let us know in the comments section.
Yeah, let us know about that.
But when you're soloing, there's two ways you can go about it. You can fold up a sentence rather quickly. I can go in A minor as we've been. Well, there's that A right there, so we're done, right? But say, for example, you had a chord progression and the rhythm guitar player just kind of kept going. Well, you want to maybe keep speaking a little bit, especially if you're the only lead guitar player in the room. And this is where we want to introduce the second hero note, or what I call a comma note. It could either be a comma or a semicolon, and that's the fifth. Now, for all of our beginners out there, if you take your root note and you go up one string and down 2 frets, you'll find your fifth. Okay, and this is the fifth note in any scale. The unique part about this is it doesn't matter if it's major or minor. If you're in the key of A, your fifth will always be E. Doesn't matter if you're in A minor or A major. So what you can do is you can also start to utilize that to extend your sentences. Maybe you do something like this instead. There's your sentence. We've pushed it forward a little bit by allowing ourselves to sit on the fifth note. Sorry, it's like 9 a.m. over here, and I haven't had my entire first coffee yet. But
Yeah,
what
so
is happening? Sorry, what?
no, Adam, I was just going to say, just for any beginners or like, you know, anyone who's super early on, if I just try and zoom in there and just show that like close up. So like on that scale that we were on, the root is here. The fifth will always be there. Yeah. So wherever your root note is on the guitar, let's say the root note's there, the fifth is always there. It's just one string down and two strings along. And those 2 notes are very important musically for lots of reasons. I just wanted to zoom in and show people Adam so they could follow along.
Yeah, I got to get a 2-camera system going here eventually.
Yeah, it's handy.
Yeah. But like what it is it's so cool because and you'll start to. I always like to introduce the root and the fifth at the same time because. So Bruce says, no, Bruce, we'll get to that in a second. But it always gives. You don't want to give people just one option of where to end a sentence. You want to give them 2, maybe one that's a bit more definite and one that's not. The fifth is a little bit less definite. It serves like a comma or a semicolon, whereas ending on an A in an A phrase will be functioning more like a period, right? So when you're practicing over backing tracks, try experimenting with landing on the A and then landing on the E, which would be your fifth of A, and see how it kind of stops and gives you a second to think about what you're going to do next. Try experimenting with extending phrases a little bit so that you're not just, you know, and then ending there. See how long you can go for. It's a great exercise in endurance, and it's wonderful for beginners as well as for intermediate and expert players as well. Mike, back to you, man.
It's a nice way just to give yourself some breathing space as well, isn't it? You know, like when especially when you play in lead, sometimes, you know, it's like, you know, all the best lead guitarists leave space.
Yes.
Silence. You know,
all the best lead players, regardless, too. I mean, man, listen to trumpet players. Go listen to my personal favorite musician of all time is Miles Davis, and my favorite guitar player of all time is Django Reinhardt. And both of those dudes knew when to shut up.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you don't play anything. It means you let the band come through a little bit, let them shine.
Yeah.
Remember, music is a group effort, especially if you're playing in a band. If you're a composer like me, it's a solo effort. You don't have to worry about it. But if you're playing in a band, you got to worry about it. Leave some space. Silence is difficult, Philly says. It is, but silence is also awesome. Very utilizable.
And gold. Silence is golden. It's not difficult. It's golden.
That's it.
But yeah, but no, I totally agree. If you play the guitar and someone puts a guitar in your hand, you want to do stuff, you know? I mean, one of my challenges that I've had over the years is that, you know, like people that I've worked with who are musicians, if they've got a guitar in their hand, you can't have a conversation with them because they'll look at you and they nod, but they can't not play.
Anxious fingers all the time. All the time.
Yeah, but leaving space in what you play creates emphasis.
And that's a really
it's the same as when you speak.
Yeah, that's a really big point though too, right? If you look at, and this is always, Gary Westcott, this is why I love Santana, and that's why you got great taste, my man, because he knows what's up. But this is the thing. I am obsessed with public speaking. Okay, I loved public speaking for years. I've been a teacher, I've been a public speaker, I've been this and that, content creator, all this type of stuff. And the thing that I've always studied is the way in which we can approach speech. When you say and ah and things like that, and I'm guilty of doing it, you lose people's attention, right? Yeah. When we meander on the fretboard, we lose people's attention. I've been to metal shows before where I've seen the guitarist get out on the front of the stage and he's wailing away and he's going for 5 minutes, you know, And actually, it was funny because, and I won't mention any names, but a very good friend of mine in the States was had put up a post yesterday about how he went to see a band, and the opening act was just playing the backing tracks. And he was a shred guitar player, so he was just up there ripping. And
Yeah.
like, this personally, a guitar player that I love, but at the same time, if you're just up there ripping and there's no band dynamics and there's no nothing to watch, you don't lose people, right? The same thing. Don't get caught up in playing a flurry of notes. Get caught up in the conversation. Get caught up in dialogue. Get caught up in speaking. Find confident ways to speak on your instrument. That's more important.
I agree, mate. It's so useful to think about what you play as a lead guitarist as words, isn't it? As conversation, as speech. There's so many things there's so many parallels between the two.
It's nuanced.
Frank said, how to improve accuracy of your picking hand. I try to rest the palm of my hand on the string pegs for some stability when possible. Lots of practice. Learning Here Comes the Sun is difficult for me. So first of all, Frank, Here Comes the Sun is a kind of fiddly song to play. I mean, it's epic when you can play it. I mean, it just sounds so cute. Let's see how it sounds with the PRS. Here Comes the Sun is a gorgeous song to play. And I remember it took me ages to learn it, but I play it with the cap on the 7th fret. I don't know if I can do this in this vertical thing, but we'll give it a try. Yeah, it's A7. It's a gorgeous song, but it's super fiddly to play. So like, if you're finding it hard to play that track, Frank, don't feel bad. It's a really technical song to play well. But in terms of your actual question about how to improve the accuracy of your picking hand, I think you're already on the right track. It is to plant your palm on the string pegs. So what that does is when you put your hand there, is it connects you to the instrument and it allows your hand to get its bearings. If your hand floats above the strings, then okay, if you're a good guitarist, maybe you can pull that off. But certainly, I can't imagine playing the guitar without regularly checking in with the guitar by planting my hand there on the bridge. In terms of improving your accuracy, Adam, you'll be way more qualified to do this because you're much more intentional about practice and so on.
Sure.
What would you suggest to Frank?
Yeah, man. I got you covered. I love this question. I love the question of improving accuracy. And I when I hear this question from students or from people, it always reassures me that person is on the right track because they're thinking about the right things.
So in the first place,
you are on the right track and thinking about picking stability, picking accuracy, these types of things. This is how we get over hurdles. This is how we get to the next stage. So watch me down here for a second. I'm going to present to you a scale that is utterly useless other than for helping your picking hand. I should say it's utterly useless, but it doesn't have a lot of melodic content to it. This is called a chromatic scale. I preach this to absolutely everybody because it is the best way to start to formulate a connection between these two hands. Now watch. 1, 2, 3, 4 on every string. You'll have to bear in mind my guitar is capoed at the 1st fret because all of my instruments are actually either in E flat or alternate tunings. I don't tune to standards. So this is the only time during the week where I always have a capo on the 1st fret. So the capo on the 1st fret, I am in standard. This is my 1st fret here. And what we're going to do is two things. We want to sync up the left with the right. So first, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we want to pick with our right hand. Ba, 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 ba. Couple things here. Number 1, keep it very tight. You don't want to be loose and floppy on this. Like playing Here Comes the Sun, we need a tight picking pattern in order to get through that. So here's an example. We're going to go across 6 strings, and we're going to go very slowly. Check it out. Starting on a downstroke. Down, up, down, up, down, up through the whole thing. Don't rotate your hand. Don't switch your picking pattern. Down, up, down, up, down, up through the whole thing. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Like I said, it's early. And then you can come back down in reverse. 4, 3, 2, 1. Just doing that quickly to save time. But what this is going to do, Frank, a couple things. First of all, practice it without a metronome. Just get focused on tightening it between your two hands so that they can have a bit of a conversation. Once you've got the pattern down, 1, 2, 3, 4 on every string, and then 4, 3, 2, 1 on the way back down, put a metronome on and put it on slow. And try to just lock in with it slowly. What's going to happen over time is you're going to notice that your hands are starting to talk to each other a lot more, and a lot of the things that you were having trouble with previously, like Here Comes the Sun, are going to become a little bit more intuitive. And the reason why is that this exercise is specifically for getting your hands to lock in together. So chromatic scale, down, up, down, up. 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way up. 4, 3, 2, 1 all the way back down. Give it a shot. I guarantee you it's going to give you plenty of help. But stick with it. Don't do it just once a day. Make sure you're picking up your guitar. Give it a good 20 minutes. 10 on the metronome, 10 off the metronome. Report back next week and see how you feel. Thanks, Frank.
Yeah, a couple of other things I would add to that is number one, it's a great workout for your little finger as well, which can sometimes sort of get a bit left out. All I would say is when you do that exercise, Frank, make sure you're doing it up and down the neck because the frets are much wider lower down than they are up above. So make sure you're moving around the neck when you're practicing that pattern. Also, mate, just repeated practice and time. Just to emphasize what Adam said about using a metronome, like I've never used a metronome in my whole life, but all the best, most technical, like best guitarists I know, they have all used a metronome a lot.
Aw, Mike, thank you.
Yeah. You weren't included in that, Adam, but
Certainly, get out of here. Talking about Yngwie Malmsteen, okay?
All the best guitarists do at least practice with a metronome some of the time. In my personal experience, there's no doubt about that. And guess what? If you're intentional about practicing in a serious way, guess what? You get better. Who knew? I just wanted to circle back to Daniel's. Daniel said earlier, so you play from the top string of the chord down. I think Daniel was talking about when I was playing the root notes earlier on. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Daniel. So if you're playing let's move this camera angle around. So if you're playing like an A minor chord, yeah, then I would start from the top. Adam, I'm sorry, I'm going to just have to bump you to the side super quick.
You're good, go for it.
Yeah, so like I would strum from there down. Like just generally, like don't get me wrong, upstrokes are fun. Like there's loads of songs that you can play. But most of the time you will be strumming down. And starting off on the root note. So for an A minor, we want to hear the root note. For C chord, we want to hear that root note. The C is there. But just remember, the root note isn't always where your finger is. Sometimes it's an open string. So for example, the D. We would begin from playing here on the D string, which is actually an open string. So, yeah, hope that helps. I've got so many cameras here, it's hard to keep track of them all. Telecon80 said, enjoying your lead course. Thanks, Mike. Presented in plain English. It's really good. Cheers. Telecon, cool name. You're very welcome. Lead Master is a really, really cool course. I love that course. It's actually one of my favorite courses. I think one of my favorite NGA courses just because lead guitar is so much fun.
I like Theory Master myself is my favorite, I think.
Theory Master. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's for learning theory. I think Theory Master is great because I think that's the easiest on-ramp into the world of music theory. Anybody who wants to become a National Guitar Academy member, let me post it in the chat here because I always forget to shout about this. Please check out. Yeah, there you go. Go there. We'll put this link in the chat, and also we're going to have a next week. I figured out how to do QR codes, Adam. So watch out.
Yes,
next week we're going to have a QR code on the screen. People can just scan it, and that'll take them straight through.
I love QR codes. It's how I used to promote my music when I played shows. Just stick one on my phone. Like, where can we find you? Like, right here. Take it.
Yeah, it's super handy. Yeah, it doesn't get any easier.
Shout out BlackBerry, man. They did a really cool thing with that. Frank, you're welcome, brother. Thank you for showing up.
Absolutely. Daniel says, "What's the metronome?" Daniel, a metronome.
That's
metronome.
The Metrodome is it's similar to like the Thunderdome. I think that was in like the original Mad Max films. You know? Yeah. Metronome. Mike's
Yeah,
gonna yell it.
yeah,
Can I digress
metronome.
for
It
just
came through all caps. I didn't mean it that way, but there it goes.
Mike, can I digress for just a second here on practice?
Sure.
I just want to
Yeah.
talk about something really quick. Okay, cool. Everybody, listen up. I know that we have a lot of beginners here, and there's a lot of gospel to be preached at the beginning of your journey. And there's a couple things that I always just like to put in front of everybody. Number one, get familiar, get comfortable with playing with the Thunderdome. I'm sorry, the metronome. Get
I
comfortable.
prefer Thunderdome. It's more fun.
Yeah, it's what it feels like when you're at 200 BPM, and that's where I'm sitting right now on a track I have to record on, and I'm not happy about it. Anyways, but get familiar with the metronome and get familiar with practice. Get familiar with the concept of we don't just sit down one time, we play the chord, we move on. We have to nurture these things. We have to get underneath them. We have to take the time that it's going to take in order to get our fingers accustomed to playing these chords. So what I'm going to encourage you to do, if you're in your first year to 2 years to 3 years of picking up the guitar, make sure that when you pick up the guitar, you commit to a bit of seasoned practice. And what I mean by that is sit down, pick a song, and pick 3 new chords, okay? And just practice. First, you practice those 3 new chords. Then you take a break. You practice something that you already know. You come back. You take those 3 chords. You apply them to a song. Now, what have you done? First thing you've practiced is the practical aspect of it. You've gotten the chords under your fingers. You've sat with them for a little while. You've understood how they work, how they sound. And these are important things. Turn your ears on when you're playing these things. How do they sound? How do they feel? These are important. Major and minor, these components, we want to be able to hear them and train our ears. So you've sat with your chords for a little bit. You've gotten them under your fingers. You know how they sound. And now you want to contextualize them. You pick up a song that has those 3 chords in them and you play that song in context. This is an amazing way to train your ears, train your hands, train your fingers, and train your picking hand all at the same time and get a lot of really, really great benefit from your practice session. And if you want to go a step further with that, you can go to nationalguitaracademy.com, go to our guitar lessons page, and we actually have lessons on the website that will teach you how to organize a practice routine. Don't forget as well, we are on YouTube, and we also have a video on how to practice. So make sure you go over to our YouTube channel as well. We'll put all the links in the chat afterwards. But take advantage of the resources that we have, because our whole goal is to get you to practice properly. That's the first goal of very many with NGA, but we want you to practice properly first.
There's some really cool practice stuff on the website, like articles that actually Adam, I think you wrote most of the practice material that's on there, didn't you? One of the things, right? This could be a bit awkward, but we're going to do it. Adam, one of the things that I've always admired about you as a musician is how good you are at practicing and the technical side of being a guitarist, which is like the polar opposite of me. But I think that's why it's so useful to, I think that's why we work so well as a team, because you've got the more technical stuff covered, whereas I'm more kind of flowery and romantic. I just want to feel stuff,
Yeah, but that's so important too.
Yeah, but you also need the detail. You also need the intentionality around practicing and pushing into new areas. So yeah, anybody that it really wants to level up their practice game, just Google National Guitar Academy how to practice, and you'll see loads of stuff on the website that Adam did. Super cool. All right, I want to move on, everybody. I want to keep the pace going here. Right, first of all, Graham says, got a suggestion for some free music software which is fun to use. It's called ChordPulse Lite, where you build your own chord progressions and add drums, bass to jam to. That sounds cool, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that, but that sounds like a great way to create, jam tracks, backing tracks very quickly. Graham, thank you, mate. We will check that out. Thank you very much.
Wish I had all this technology when I was learning. I had mxtabs.com and no YouTube.
Dude, you know what I had? Libraries.
Libraries. That's it. I used to go and I could rent issues of Guitar World magazine from the local library, and they would have all the licks in them, and I'd have a week to learn everything before I had to give it back, or they'd just hit me with a late charge.
Yeah.
I paid so many late fees at that library, man. Oh my God.
I spent my life when I was like 17, 18, when I was really first getting to grips with the guitar.
Yeah.
I would just go to libraries all around my local area, and I would go in and I would find the music books that were there, and I would photocopy I would just photocopy the books, as many of them as I could, just to get all the chords and tabs and just to try and learn as many songs as I could. It was just, I loved it. It's like really inefficient way to learn, but also super cool, and like to learn. Well, I remember like learning ABBA songs. Like I don't even like ABBA, but they had an ABBA book, so I was going to learn the chords. It was cool.
I honestly think it's more practical, to be honest, than the internet. And like, don't get me wrong. I mean, NGA is an online library of
Yeah,
resources.
but real world stuff lands harder, doesn't it?
Yeah, like, and this is the thing is like, unless you're going through National Guitar Academy, where we have segmented everything for you. You know, if you're just getting onto the internet for the first time, you're getting on YouTube for the first time with a guitar, and you don't know about us or Marty or any of the other cats that we all roll with on this platform, who are all trying to give, you know, huge value. Shout out Marty Schwartz, I love that guy. But like, you know, if we aren't hip to those things, you're just dropped into this black hole of information where, you know, half the people know what they're talking about, half of them don't. Dude, I'm an audio, and like, this isn't just for guitar. I'm an audio engineer, and like, you should see how much of a dumpster fire TikTok is for that. Of just people being like, if you take your EQ and cut this specific frequency in every vocal that you have, regardless of genre, your vocal is going to be fantastic. And it's like, nope, that's not how that works at all. And you have 2.5 million views on this video. So, you know, grab books, man. We have a video on this too. We have a video for everything. Go to our YouTube channel. Mike we had him pick out his top 5 guitar books like last year or the year before. We made a video about it. We've got Amazon links and everything. If you want a couple books that are really going to help enrich your guitar playing, I know we got some Beatles fans in here. There is a Beatles compendium in there that you can get your hands on. There's one.
Yeah.
Go to our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, because that's how you get all of the cool stuff from us. And check out the video on guitar books. I feel like it's really underrated, to be honest with you, that video.
I mean, it's people a lot. Certainly, I don't know. I don't want to like, you know. I feel like books aren't as important as they used to be for a lot of people. I still believe it's the best value you can get in terms of bang for your buck. Books are the winner, hands down. I agree, Adam. I thought that was a cool video. That, like, whatever it was, the 5 books that made me a better guitarist. It was so cool. There's so many good books in there. Everybody, we're going to move on. I have got a couple of things I want to share with you. So number one, we're going to talk about a piece of gear which is very useful. I want to talk about a classic guitar with you, and I want to share a cool guitar gadget. Okay, so first of all, let me switch audio here. Oh, sorry, let me switch video here.
I was going to say, oh God, don't switch audio.
No, mate, I'm not touching that. I'm not going to touch that, don't worry. Right, I am going to just go back here, and I'm going to switch over here. This is the Fender Telecaster. Okay, this is one of the classic guitars. For anybody who's relatively new to the guitar world, you may not know this. Sorry for the sort of poor quality images that we're getting here on Google Images. But this is what a Fender Telecaster looks like. Now, what you can see there is a guitar with 2 pickups. Very, very simple controls. You have a neck pickup, you have a bridge pickup. And I would say the Fender Telecaster is probably my favorite acoustic guitar. My favorite electric guitar. Adam, what is the Telecaster like? Let's just super quick for anyone who's new to this. Why is the Telecaster such an iconic instrument? What's it good at?
Country, blues, jazz, and rock and roll, baby. And if you're really edgy about it and you swap your pickups, some really crushing metal, actually. Like, really? I'm not even kidding. Oh, yeah. But that's a different thing. But yeah, country, blues, jazz, rock and roll at its core. The Telecaster, it's an American staple, right? Fender classic. Listen, at the end of the day, when it comes to Fender, we got the Tele and we've got the Strat. And then, you know, depending upon who you are, if you're me and you're a Jazzmaster fanboy or a Jaguar fanboy, you have the Offset series as well. But, you know, and that's basically it for Fender, right? They make classic guitars. I've got a Tele actually here myself too. I'll grab it. Yeah. This is my Nashville setup Telecaster, and like I use this specifically for country and indie rock. You know, where I just it gives that jangle on top. It's a very treble oriented instrument, whereas the Strat has more of a bassy kind of balance to it. But you find with a Telecaster, you pick one of these things up and you've been transported straight to Texas. You know, it's a bit of a different instrument, especially if you're used to playing a Stratocaster. If you're used to playing a Les Paul, even further so. But it handles well, it does the thing, and it's got a very distinct tone to it that has lived on in very specific genres of music, like I said, country, blues, jazz, and rock and roll. Mike,
I love, I mean, I could rave about the Telecaster all day. It's literally my favorite electric guitar. I
Yeah.
love the Telecaster for all the reasons Adam said, and I love it because I think it's the easiest electric guitar to get started with. A
You really
Strat has got too many positions for me for a beginner.
fair.
I like the simplicity of the Telecaster, and I also like that the strings are ever so slightly wider on the Telecaster. The gap between the strings
Yeah.
ever so slightly wider, which is better for beginners because they've got less sort of room to to get the fingers on to to help them stop touching unwanted strings. I absolutely love Telecasters. Okay, next up, guys, I wanted to share a piece of gear with you, which is a noise gate. Now, a noise gate is,
The best.
yeah, very, very handy. Now, a noise gate looks like this. Let me move that over so you guys can hopefully see that. This is weird
Hey,
doing it
shout
on
out
Telecast.
Donner Pedals.
Yeah. So let me see if I can get rid of that. So yeah, basically, sorry for the slightly weird camera angle there, folks, but I'm on the iPad. So yeah, basically that's the pedal that I use. It's a Donner noise gate pedal. It's super cheap. And if I turn my noise gate off, you guys will hear. So listen very carefully. The noise gate's on right now. It's going off in 3, 2, 1. So I don't know if that'll come through for you, but you might hear some ground hum. You certainly would if I wasn't using this guitar with the humbuckers. You would hear ground hum from the guitar, like a low level electrical hum.
Here, I just turned mine on for you. That's what it sounds like when you don't have a noise gate on. When Mike has his with his noise gate engaged.
Yeah.
Hear all that static? That's
Yeah. So
from
then,
these pickups.
yeah, there we go. Yeah. So humbuckers don't buzz as much as single coils. Adam, can you just point out where the single coils are? Just like the white things, yeah. Whereas I've got the humbuckers, which is it's like two single coils side by side.
Yeah,
So
so
these guitars kind of cancel one another out, so you don't get as much hum. Adam's hum more because they're single coils.
that's actually where a humbucker gets its name from, because a humbucker is two single coils stacked on top of each other to essentially buck the hum. And what we have down here is a third, like kind of a variation on a single coil. This is called a hot rail, and these are what I roll with on the bridges of all my guitars, just because they're extremely high output and do the thing. But a hot rail as well is also a simulated version of a humbucker, right? Just with a little bit of a different wiring and a bit of a different approach. But a humbucker, like what you see in Mike's PRS there, is essentially just these two single coils put together, stacked on top of each other. And you might find them like Mike has them here with what we call open coil, which means that there's no cover on them. But you will also find other instruments like we've seen a lot in the past in traditional Gibson Les Pauls. They actually have the humbucker cover on them, and that is to decrease the output a little bit as well.
Chrissy,
learning on
thanks.
a Telecaster.
Yeah, Chrissy's learning on a Telecaster. Lots of fun. It sounds great. I appreciate that I can learn to play with either or both pickups, but it's simple. Yeah, Chrissy, that's what I like. It's great. When there's so much to learn when you move into the world of electric guitar. It can be really overwhelming. There's so many things you've got to think about. There's so many things that can affect your tone, and that's why I think Telecasters are like I just love them to bits.
That's a fair take I never thought about before, was the minimalism of a Telecaster is a really great reason to learn on it. Because I learned on a 335 and on an offset. And like the offset that I had was one of those old ones with all the flip switch buttons on them and everything like that. And it just did like 100 million things, and it was totally overwhelming.
Yeah, exactly.
35, I had 2 humbuckers in 3 positions, and I was like, oh, this is so much better. But yeah, no, I totally see why that minimalism helped a beginner.
See, I always come at these things from the eyes of a complete beginner, so it's like, and also I've seen it with my own eyes, people get a fancy guitar, they're a beginner, and they can't get a decent tone out of the amp because there's too many things. They've got the various volume pots, they've got tone, they've got the pickups, they've got the amp setup, there's EQs on the amps. It's too overwhelming for people, and that's why I think acoustic guitars are in a lot of ways easier for beginners to learn on, because there's just one tone. People don't need to think about the tone. The wood takes care of the tone for them, Graham says, is a P90 pickup a humbucker? I don't think it is it, Adam? Isn't a P90 like it's a single coil technically, I think, that just has a much hotter output. Is that right?
Yeah, a P90, Yeah, it's not a humbucker or a single coil. It's kind of a mix of both.
It's in
The
between, yeah.
was meant to be a hybridization, to my understanding, of the single coil and the humbucker.
Yeah.
So it's like a single coil and it's like a humbucker, but it's both and neither simultaneously. P90s have their own type of vibe. They're a little bit creamier a lot of the time, in my experience. You find them on older offset style guitars. Fender Jazzmasters had them for quite a while.
Yeah.
P90s are always worth trying out, I think.
Yeah, I'm after a P90. I'm looking at Les Paul Juniors because I want a P90 guitar.
Yeah.
The way I understand it is, and I'm not the biggest gear guy in the world by any means, but the P90 sort of sits in between a single coil and a humbucker.
Correct.
And also, it's very responsive to dynamics. And I think you can sort of clean up the tone of a P90 by rolling off your volume a little bit as well.
Yes.
You know, like if you open up the volume pot, you get a bit more gain on the sound. So it's it's a little bit different.
P90 guitar at the studio I track at. I've played with it a lot before, and yeah, it is very dynamically responsive to the onboard controls, which is interesting because not a lot of guitars are. You know, like you have the tone knob, you have the volume knob, but realistically, if you want low volume tone, you got to go back to down. 1 on your volume. Anything from 1 to 9 is neither here nor there. And then when you're at 10, then you get your full blast.
Yeah, yeah. I remember hearing John Mayer say that when they designed the Silver Sky with PRS, he wanted 1 to 10 to mean something, you know, so it'd be like
it doesn't mean it.
Yeah, steps 1 through to 10 would actually reflect 1 to 10, you know, rather than just kind of low or high, which is basically what most others are like.
My Contriver Signature 6, this guy here, the 1 to 10 on this means something. I track jazz stuff with this at 5 deliberately. And it's really cool, but this is the only guitar that I own where 1 to 10 actually means anything.
Yeah, yeah.
It means nothing. Hollow body means nothing. Telecaster, nothing.
Yeah, but you get so used to playing, you know, the old way, you know? Anyway, listen, we're going way, way inside baseball or whatever it's called.
Baseball.
You know, I think that's what they call it, isn't it? It's like when you're going into too much detail on one niche thing. I want to keep this broad. Like we can't, you know, we've got loads of beginners on the line here. I don't want to go too gear specific. Everybody, number one, I just want to say, if you enjoyed this live stream, please subscribe to the NGA YouTube channel. I always forget to say it. We're trying to do more stuff on YouTube. We want to build our following on YouTube here. So please subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed what you've heard today. Please also like the video. Thank you very much. Right, we're going to press on. We've got a couple more things I want to hit on before we run out of time. Number one, a small piece of gear recommendation for you is strap locks. Now, strap locks look like this. There's various different ones that you can get, but essentially they all work the same. They're pretty cheap. And what a strap lock does is it goes on the bottom of your guitar and it clicks on there. And one will go on here. And it is a lock, which basically means that your guitar can't fall off its strap when you're playing. So, you know, if you've ever played on stage and you've got a strap on the guitar, but you don't have strap locks, then occasionally the strap comes loose and your guitar falls down and you look like a complete idiot on stage, which happened to me about 3 times before I actually realized you could get strap locks. So yeah, it didn't just happen to me once. It had to happen to me 3 times before I found a solution. Strap locks are super cheap. You put them on the guitar and you just forget about them basically, and they last forever. So if anybody's, you know, used to playing with a strap, wants to play with a strap, please get some locks on there. Adam, do you have a favorite strap lock brand or anything that you've used, or do you just get whatever?
Pretty sure I got either the Dunlop ones or the D'Addario ones on my Strat. I think two of my guitars have strap locks and 2 don't. I don't perform live anymore since the pandemic hit, so I don't have as much use for them. But if you are someone who likes to stand and play while you're practicing, or you know, you go out to jam nights or different things like that,
they're useful, man. Yeah.
I mean, I come from a background of playing punk and metal music, so I've always been swinging my guitars around on stage. And yeah, I thankfully, like right from the beginning of my music career, again, like I was hanging out with people older than me, and I was at a rehearsal one night. I swung my guitar around and I caught it as the strap came off. And my buddy looked at me and he was like, "You're coming to the music store with me in the morning, and we're getting it sorted for you." And he was like, "You need strap locks. This is what they are." And if anybody on the internet tells you to put twist ties over your straps in place of strap locks, don't do that. Because I had a friend who did that, and I watched him break his neck on stage. Not his neck, but the neck of his guitar.
Oh God! Well,
Oh yeah,
that
truss rod
was
just
bad.
exploded, and he went to do one of the pop punk swing things, and it broke off, and it went flying across the
Oh
stage.
no!
A million pieces of wood shattered everywhere. It's lucky that nobody got it in their eye. So yeah, strap locks are amazing, and they're
Very useful.
They're very useful. Yeah.
Sarah said, "I need strap locks. I didn't know they existed. Thanks, Sarah. You're welcome. You're very welcome." So Diane said, "Can you recommend some electric guitar strings that don't contain nickel, as I have an allergy to nickel?"
Interesting.
I think are cobalt strings free of nickel, Adam, or
Cobalt.
Cobalt
cobalts are. I think they're just. I don't know what they're wrapped in. I know that it's a cobalt core. I'm not sure it's cobalt all the way down. I wonder about the XTs by Dario.
Does anybody know? Anybody on the call know the answer to that? Guitar strings that don't contain nickel.
No, the XTs are nickel plated steel.
Yeah. You could try, I guess, I don't know, I guess you could try cobalt and then see if you have a reaction to it. But I think cobalt strings, let's see if we can find the answer super quick.
I don't know if it's just the core that's cobalt and it's wrapped in nickel.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out. Oh, that's a good suggestion, yeah. Sarah said the Elixir strings. So Elixir strings, I think they are made of nickel, but they're coated on the outside with a type of, I think it's some type of plastic, basically. But basically, what it's done to stop the strings from corroding as quickly. So the Elixir strings cost about twice as much as normal strings, but they last about 3 or 4 times as long. So even though they're kind of expensive to buy compared to other strings, they're actually better value, I think, overall. And that might help you out, Diane, because even if the strings are made of nickel, if your fingers aren't actually touching nickel because it's got the coating on the outside, that might do the trick. Sarah, thank you for that suggestion. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, if you're on an acoustic, then the phosphor bronze should work for you. I mean, I have those on my acoustics, and they work great. I don't think they have nickel in them. And yeah, the other one that I was going to say is the Ernie Ball stainless steels are also another one. But Chrissy just jumped in here. Chrissy, you're on it today, my gal.
Yes, Chrissy. Chrissy to the rescue.
Chrissy's amazing. We see a lot of Chrissy, and she's fantastic.
Ernie Ball stainless steel slinky string. Yeah, I played slinky strings for years. They're super cool strings. They were my go-to strings for years and years.
And they are, in fact, very slinky.
Diane, you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. Everybody, before we finish up, I've got 2 things I want to say to you. Number one, our artist of the week. Our artist of the week is Charles Cleyn. Now, let me see if I can share my screen here. Come on, we can do this. Let's figure it out. I want to share my screen. And
actually, good point really quick, Bruce. Bruce is always on it. Also, your pickups have nickel with many other alloys. Yes, don't forget that there are a lot of metallic windings that go on inside your pickups. So be wary of that. Bruce, you may not be having direct contact with it, but it is something to keep in mind. Thanks, brother. Appreciate that.
Guy, Adam, can you see this okay?
Yep.
Yeah, sweet. Okay, so I'm seeing a different screen to you guys. So this is Charles Cleyn. Charles is he actually, let's see if his bio's on here. So, yeah. Charles Cleyn is a Canadian indie folk singer-songwriter. 2008, he left his corporate tech job, moved to Berlin to pursue full-time music. Since then, he's been writing, recording, and performing all over Europe and Canada, releasing 3 EPs, picking up a Berlin Music Video Award, being listed in the top 10 for one of Nashville's biggest songwriting contests.
Cool.
Charles is going to be our guest on the show in a couple of weeks, and he's awesome. I've learned a lot from him. He's got videos on YouTube showing people how to use DAW software. That's actually where I found him. Yeah. So I learned a lot about how to use Logic through watching Charles's videos. And yeah, he's going to be on the live stream in a couple of weeks. He's just on his way home from LA. He's been recording an album there. Cool. Recently had he's a new dad. He's recently got a baby. So yeah, it's all happening for Charles at the moment. But yeah, I really like his approach to music. It's quite technically minded. Obviously, I think he has a tech background.
Cool.
But of course, he's a musician, so there's an interesting like confluence of personality traits there. I can't figure out how to play the track there, but guys, go and check out Charles. I like his music. Really nice guy. He's going to be on here in a couple of weeks. Going to be talking about creating music, being a music maker in 2023, how to get your music out there onto Spotify, how to get it noticed in the world. The world has changed so much for musicians and music makers. Charles is someone who's doing it well lately. So I thought, great, let's get him on the show and interview him and have a chat. And lastly, the song of the week before we run out of time is Echoes by Pink Floyd, which you guys know how much I love Pink Floyd, but just this week I was listening to Echoes for the first time in years and like, oh my God, what an absolutely epic song that oh, it's so good. I mean, I could rave about Pink Floyd all day. You guys know they're one of my all-time favorite bands. But Echoes by Pink Floyd, like what a tune. It takes you on such a journey. It's too long probably, but that's part of the charm. There's so many different moments, atmospheres, emotions. I love that it doesn't conform to any kind of pop 3-minute structure. Pink Floyd did their own thing, and I just really admire that. It's such a great tune. And the moment when you come out with that big blazing solo into that sort of groovy bass breakdown, like that is one of the grooviest moments in all of music. It's so good, man. Honestly, like anyone who isn't like, hip to that track, just go and check it out.
I listened to David Gilmour.
Steven, my man.
Too. Yeah, listen to David Gilmour's other stuff too, man. I recently just got hip to The Orb. The Orb and David Gilmour. Have you heard this?
No, what's that?
This other kind of synthy guitar project thing that he has. And I think he's using like AI to like generate videos for it and such. It's all very ethereal, very mysterious, but very, very cool and very ambient and experimental. And it's just all the things I love about music. And it's all the things I loved about Pink Floyd recontextualized into something new. And I think it's fantastic. The Orb and David Gilmour, go check it out. That guy's an absolute nut of music.
He is an absolute bona fide legend of of music.
The sonic.
One of the best performances I've ever seen in my life was Dave Gilmour played at the Meltdown concert, Robert Wyatt's Meltdown concert. You can get it online. It's just an amazing concert. It's acoustic, lots of Pink Floyd tracks mixed in there acoustically, but just so good. Musicianship, harmonies, arrangement. That's what it looks like when someone has like a 30-year amazing music career, really grows as a musician, and then knows how to present music in the most tasteful way, knows when to be silent, knows when to let other members of the band shine.
Silence is golden.
Yeah, honestly, that
really is.
Yeah, the Meltdown concert by Dave Gilmour, absolutely amazing.
I'll look it up.
Everybody, we are out of time. I would like to thank you all for showing up. Thanks for being on the stream. Thank you for helping us make this. We have lots of fun, doing these live streams for you. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please subscribe to the channel. And hey, if you want more of this stuff, become a National Guitar Academy member. Just go to nationalguitaracademy.com/membership. And that will take you to our membership sign-up page. If you become an NGA member, you get your own free personalized guitar learning plan. You get access to our forum, access to our song library where there's lots of chord sheets and tabs separated by difficulty level, access to every NGA course, and you get access to our weekly members live stream where we kind of stay on one topic but go really deep. On this live stream here, we kind of go quite broad across lots of different topics, but the members live stream is really deep on one topic. So yeah, if you want more of us, that's where you need to go. Adam, thank you for joining me today, mate. Any closing remarks?
Yeah, just on the topic of the NGA, buying an NGA courses or getting into the NGA membership, when you get access to your membership, keep in mind too, one of the best parts of our program is everything is decided upon by you, the students in the audience, right? So if there's topics that you want covered in the live stream, or if there's a course that you really, really, really want to learn something about, you can tell us and we will build it. Right now, we took a poll recently asking our members what kind of topics they wanted on courses in the future. The main discussion point was live looping. So that's what we're doing. And we want to build a community for every guitar player out there where they can feel safe and at home in a community of people that are uplifting them and supporting them on their musical journey. That's what we do at NGA. We want you guys to be a part of it. So come over to nationalguitaracademy.com/members. Check out what we've got to offer. Go check out the Guitar Lesson Index online and become a part of the community. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. Find us on YouTube. And yeah, that's it. Come be a part of the community. We're trying to make the music world a better place for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a beginner, intermediate, or a pro-level musician. We're here for all of you.
Thank you, guys. Adam, thank you very much for joining me today. Everyone, we will see you next week. Thanks for joining us.